Hello, and welcome to another Know-It-All episode of We Only Look Thin. I am Katherine Weigel. I've lost 150 pounds, and I am here to tell you what I know and what I don't know, and here with me is...
Donald Weigel!
Yay.
And I think you're selling yourself short. You're like the known know-it-all of Known Town
No Town. I really do act like I know it all. I actually said something to our daughter the other day, acting like a know-it-all, and then I was like, you know what? I actually don't know. I was just trying to say something to sound fancy. So sometimes admitting what you don't know is a good thing, but I know this is going to be an awesome episode.
One of my favorite know-it-all events of my life was we were at a museum.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
There was a woman reading off of a plaque and talking to her young son at the museum and reading to him as if she knew exactly what she was talking about. Yeah, and the kid's like,
"You're so amazing, Mommy."
Yeah. And the best part was she was actually completely not saying the right thing. She was talking about how we were looking at photographs that were taken from the Saturn II probe or something, and they were actually photographs that were taken into space.
Yeah. They were like DNA molecules.
Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah, you know how you can take pictures from the Hubble telescope of DNA.
So don't be a know-it-all.
Don't be a know-it-all.
That's enough for this week's episode.
There you go. This
Thanks
is just an amuse-bouche episode.
Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts.
Speaking of which, we're gonna
see how I did that.
We're gonna do the normal Tao.
Tao,
everybody.
Wow, you took me by surprise there.
And then we're going to talk about other things, about knowing things and not knowing things, which we'll tell you more about later. You don't know.
Tie things into knowing it all and pretending you don't.
And then we're going to finish off with a product of the week.
Pow, everybody.
Pow, you guys.
I mean, pow, everybody.
We're mixing it up. We're keeping it fun and fresh.
Man, speaking of mixing it up.
Yeah, but actually,
first.
So you were leading me into a good setup, and then I dropped it, and so we'll go back to it now. I'm going to toot our own horns.
Whoa, you're a horn tooter.
I am. Gonna have that checked out soon.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't know. I know we usually ask people to leave rating and reviewing us on the iThings and the
Apple
places,
Podcasts,
Apple Podcasts, like I said.
The iThings.
Yeah, the iThings.
Also known commonly as the iThings.
Yeah, okay. So we ask people to rate and review us, and we always say that we're going to maybe read one of the reviews, and we're actually going to do it now.
Hey, you know what? We're going to say something that we've said before, and we're going to do it and follow through, and it's going to be great.
It is. No, but I don't know how much the algorithms of the universe actually matter toward leaving the reviews, but I love getting positive reviews on our podcast, me personally. And we got one this week from Who Is Rose? I think that's how that is the username. Who is Rose?
Who is Rose?
Who is Rose? And it said, best weight loss podcast, hands down.
Well,
look at my hands, and now they're down.
Clearly, I agree with this review wholeheartedly so far.
No, but it's lovely. She's they. I don't know if they are he or she or they. This is absolutely my favorite weight loss podcast. It's informative, empowering, entertaining, and most importantly, an inspiration. The married couple.
She said it just like that. She wrote it in that font.
The married couple, who incidentally have lost about 250 pounds, have a terrifically close relationship, and their banter is hysterical. Yes, it is. You know your stuff, Who is Rose?
Such hysterical banter.
No, we're awesome. Anyway, okay, I'm going to keep going. They share all the tips and plenty on the head game of weight loss. Best of all, they believe in being proactive about what one can do for oneself, not in playing the victim of life card, which we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
I've lost about 50 pounds following their advice and behavioral and mental change.
Wow,
and apply it to
That's fantastic.
Other areas of life as well. Thanks, guys. Must be nice. That is so amazing.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
We are sitting here, two schlubs, two know-it-all. No, but okay.
I don't know if I'm a schlub.
Well, I'm dressed kind of like a schlub right now. I'm really glad we're not on television right now because I'm not looking my best.
Our YouTube channel is not going to work with what's happening.
There are not
right
enough Snapchat filters to sort all this situation out.
Yeah, we are both definitely made up for podcasting.
We are. But the idea, I mean, just think about it. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the idea that we would be helping people actually change their lives, I know I just sound like I'm snarky all the time, but it means so much to know that we're helping people, and that if between all of our snarky comments, that people are actually getting something out of this and helping change their own lives. Like it means
really
everything
makes
to
this
us.
gratifying and makes this all worth it. And we really appreciate every one of you out there listening. We, and to go back half a step, if you are getting something out of this, it really does help us grow the show. If you can rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, we would appreciate it. So thank you very much. Who is Rose? And
and who is Rose? Rose is an inspiration.
Asian.
How many
for
times
sure.
can we do that through the episode?
I don't know.
Every time we do it, you've
let's
got to
set a
do
record.
5 squats.
It's a new not drinking game, the new exercise game.
Yeah, new water game. So
every time you mention Chopin, you have to do a push-up or something.
Getting it done.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Honestly, it really makes all of it worth it. We put a lot of time and effort into We Only Look Thin and Molt Place, and it just means so much to get the positive feedback. So thank you so much. So
thank you very much. And now I think it is time for our tip of the week.
Tip of the week. Tao.
Tip of the week to you, darling.
Tip of the week to you. Now, this is sort of a seasonal sort of tip.
Yeah.
It's a cool day. It's a balmy, 70 degrees in Los Angeles or something?
Something like that.
But Donald's going to tell you about what our tip is, and here it comes, because he's going to say it now.
It is to mix things up.
What?
There are people out there
Mix it up. Stir it up.
Mix it up, stir it up. There are people out there who might tell you that spices are the spice of life, but I think variety is the spice of life.
Oh, put it on a t-shirt.
But what I'm really talking about here is, and I was thinking about this earlier this week because I was sort of trying to add some variety and not eat the same thing every day all week, and just mixing up the food that I was taking to work. And I think this is a good thing to do from time to time, and I do it. I sort of complain. Trader Joe's has these wonderful refrigerated soups that the ones that I really like, which are the split pea and the harvest chili, they only sell in the fall. And I'm choosing to now think of that as a good thing, to where I don't eat them every day all year. I just eat them every day during the fall.
See?
And so what my point here is that mix things up, because it is really easy when you're on your weight loss adventure to get stuck in a rut and really get bored of what you're doing, get bored of your exercise, get bored of what you're eating. And so try and not eat things over and over and over again, or maybe seasonally mix things up. Like you've got sort of a weekly menu that you like try doing something different in the fall, and then, reinvestigating in the spring and doing it differently.
Well, and beyond that, in terms of exercise, we have been rebounding quite often instead of going out on walks. And I know for a lot of people, if you're in areas of inclement weather, going outside to walk can be very difficult.
Yeah.
So switching up your routine, giving yourself permission, like, oh my gosh, I've been running all summer. Okay, well, you know what? In October, all I'm going to do is yoga. Or starting in November, I'm going to switch it up and I'm going to start doing a HIIT class, and I'm only going to commit to it for a month. Give yourself permission to try something and then switch it out. Same thing goes with water in the winter months. It's really hard for me to drink lots of cold water, so I usually switch to hot tea. And there's no water police that are going to come and check your water goals. It's all you, so you can switch up to hot tea.
I'm applying to Water Police Academy as soon as we finish recording this.
Okay, Aquaman. But be okay with switching it up. Give yourself permission to try out something new. This isn't, a white after Labor Day thing, but looking at things seasonally can be a benefit. And I'm also...
And I know that when I'm doing the same exercise videos over and over again, I start to get bored of them, and they start to become less challenging and less interesting. And back when I used to run, I would run on a treadmill, and I had this workout mix, and it would be great for a few weeks. And then after a while, it would just be
I hate this song.
I don't want to hear these songs ever again. At first they're super motivating, and then it would just be oh boy, not this song again. And so changing things up, making some variety in your life, whether it's food or exercise or your workout mix, can really help keep you interested in keeping going.
Do you remember on, we're from New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey. I don't know about Donald. But on New Jersey 101.5, the radio station, they would have their summer songs and their winter songs. And you could tell, like, oh my gosh, they're playing Sitting on the Dock of the Bay.
Yeah,
and that's a summer song. And then in the winter, they'll play All the Leaves Are Brown. Like, anyway, so that's my story.
So we're saying
it was funnier.
Do what that radio station did.
It was funnier in my head. Maybe we can cut that. It didn't really play as well as I had hoped it would. So we'll just cut that out. How about that?
Okay.
No, like honestly, cut it out.
We'll see.
Okay. Whoa. Okay, then we'll see. Anyway, so now we're going to move on.
And that was your tip of the week.
Tip of the week to you.
Tao. Tip of the week to you.
Tip of the week. Now it's over. It was the tip of the week. Now we're going to move on to knowing and not knowing and knowfully not knowing.
Wow.
No.
So this topic was inspired. Gretchen Rubin, friend of the
show. She liked a post I made on her page the other day. So
well, then truly she is a friend of the show.
Stalker territory.
Yeah. She has a mini podcast called A Little Happier, and there's
not too much.
Yeah, they're like 5-minute episodes, and she talked recently about the Spider-Man musical, and how there were, just to summarize, there were so many great people involved in this thing, so many people who had a track record of success, and yet it failed. And one of the writers of the show wrote a book about it, and in his book he talked about how there was this point in time where, like, it was brought up to them that they had a problem with the storyline that happened partway through the second act, and they really just chose to ignore it.
Yeah, the old, like, I'm not listening. I'm just kidding. If I
or
keep
we'll fix it later. It'll be fine.
You'll fix it in post.
Don't
It'll
you worry.
Be fine.
Yeah. And it turned out it wasn't fine.
No,
and,
very not fine.
Didn't go well for my dudes.
His spidey senses tingled, and nobody listened to the tingling. So,
yeah, exactly.
So she ended up calling this phenomenon the unknown knowns.
And this is where Donald comes in.
And this is where Donald.
The other Donald.
So Donald Weigel is usually the star of the show, but we're going to talk about another Donald, a lesser-known Donald, a minor Donald.
A Donald you don't normally associate with weight loss, and that is Donald Rumsfeld.
Good old Rummy.
Rummy, as the friends of his call him.
Yeah, he's not a friend of the show. We're just talking about him now.
Yeah, so he has a famous quote where he was talking about I don't know, some war or something.
Some war happened
he was
somewhere.
Secretary of Defense or something. I do actually know, but I'm just being silly. He said, "There are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns, the ones that we don't know that we don't know."
So, no.
So, yeah, that might have been a little bit hard to follow, but
we'll take it from the top.
There is
a
fourth category, but I think you have each one sort of broken down.
Yeah, so in this whole weight loss adventure and in life, maybe we'll just start with the top. It all ties back to the Spider-Man thing. But there are, as Rummy, good old Rummy says.
Good old Rummy.
Known knowns. I know that really rolls off the tongue, like
known
Gary
knowns.
Gnu.
Gary Gnu, exactly.
So known knowns are things that you know.
Yeah.
What? So they're if-then scenarios. If I buy a Fitbit, I can track my steps. That's a known.
Yeah.
I need to go to work in order to make money. Like, they go together, and you know that.
Sadly, they do.
Yeah, but there are things that you have taken the time to gain the skills or the knowledge in. So think about in your weight loss adventure, journey, whatever, of things that you're doing right now that you know are in your best interest. And you do them. Like, I get 7 hours of sleep a night because I know it is in my best interest. I personally track my calories because I know that it is in my best interest.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know what the result will be. If I track my calories, then I will have evidence of whether I'm gaining or losing weight and why.
Yeah, I take the stairs instead of the elevator because I know I will get more steps.
Right. And it keeps me mindful. And it's things that I'm taking control of in my life. I'm not being a victim. There are then, stay with me, known unknowns.
Whoa.
The things in life that you have not yet learned to do or perfect.
Yeah,
So,
there are things out there that you know that they exist, but you don't know what they are. Like you know that there are things that you haven't learned yet.
yeah, so like Donald knows that he doesn't know how to change his own oil, and it doesn't matter. It's fine. He can farm that out.
I can still go pay somebody else to do it.
Right. So I know that I don't know how to speak French, but I could if I put in the effort.
Yeah.
I don't know how many calories are in a cup of cashews, but I have the resources to find that out. So it's, you know that you don't know it, but it's not a mystery. It's that there is evidence out there or there's information out there. Then there are unknown unknowns.
Whoa.
So these are things that you haven't had to think about. Like I have not had to think about like learning how to fight a shark because I'm typically not in the ocean. So it's like, that's not something I really need. It's an unknown unknown.
I really personally think that's bad planning. I think everyone should learn how to fight a shark just in case. And I'm going to start my own How to Fight a Shark podcast, and it's going to be huge.
Here's the thing. I am afraid of spiders. As we know.
This I know.
Donald does not enjoy snakes.
Right.
I don't think about not liking snakes because we don't have snakes in our house. We do have spiders in our house. Are you looking at me like you're really mad right now that I'm talking about? Okay.
Not at all.
But like,
if we had snakes in our house, that's the look I was giving you. It was the, oh my God, if we had snakes in the house.
But like,
I don't mind having some spiders in the house, but
there are unknown unknowns.
Right.
Like, I don't know how to fight a snake. I don't know. It's funny, the only unknown unknowns that I'm coming up with are like fighting snakes and sharks.
Fight a snake.
Okay, you get
Fight
a snake.
a grizzly bear.
Exactly. But there are things that like, wow, it never occurred to me. Like before I had my foot injury, it never occurred to me that I would need to find a podiatrist or talk to them about foot care because it was not something.
Oh, that's a more practical thing than shark fighting.
Yeah, or the point at which like we know somebody who didn't know that agave syrup had calories because it was all natural.
Right.
And they were like, do you know that it has as many calories as sugar? And I was like, yes, I do, because it's
yes, it does.
Yeah, and yes, it does. But it was an unknown to her. Like she just assumed that because it was organic and from a plant that it didn't have any calories. Much like our friend the avocado.
I like the idea that avocados are our friends.
They are. So those are unknown unknowns, things that you just don't know that you even have to worry about.
Well, those are the only categories, though, right? No,
they are not.
Wait,
there's
another
more
category?
Yeah, which we had kind of talked about. The unknown knowns, which ties back into Spider-Man. The things that you are willfully ignorant about, the things that you can't confront in your life, the things that you don't dare admit to yourself.
Yeah. The
things that you continually do that you know are not in your best interest. Whether it be, I do not want to open my credit card bill because I don't want to see what the balance is. That's not actually true, but I'm just giving that as an example. When you avoid the scale because you have been on vacation and you are willfully ignorant, you know that it's an issue, but you don't want to deal with it.
And something that I did, which was you avoid going to the doctor because you don't want to have your blood work done and don't want to have it revealed that you have some sort of diabetes, such as I did.
Right. There's an issue looming in your family and you don't want to confront it. Someone is aging and you need to talk about senior care and you don't want to deal with it and you just pretend that it's not not happening because it's easier to just avoid it than to confront it. There are things like, you don't weigh your food, you don't track your steps, you take off your Fitbit, all of those sort of canary habits.
It can be something small, like I don't want to know how many calories are in this, I'm just going to eat it and pretend that it's a low number.
Well, and things that you feel like you just can't deal with or you can't confront. You don't track. You use a lot of those Gretchen Rubin loopholes of, well, you only live once. What am I going to do? It's a celebration. And it's not in your best interest. But I think Donald, and we had talked about alcohol on a recent episode, Donald sort of has some things to say about alcohol and willful ignorance.
Yeah, it's like we know, and we often think about alcohol and drug abuse as forms of self-destruction. And we generally, people, agree on that, and that we know that smoking is also a form of self-destruction, even though some people do it. Generally, we agree that, it's a slower form of self-destruction, but I think that we oftentimes we don't equate ignoring our weight or the health consequences of eating in the same way. We don't think about those things as being self-destructive. We don't think about those things as causing us long-term harm because they're not as immediate and they're not as obvious. And we just sort of say to ourselves, I'll figure it out down the road. Somebody comes to us and we know we have a second act problem, going back to the Spider-Man musical, but we are unwilling to deal with it right now. So we just ignore it and move on.
Well, and there are also hierarchies of needs, which I think we're going to do an episode on at one point. But if you're worried about, paying the bills or the lights going off, maybe you're not going to worry about weighing your cashews, but there are so many things, like Donald said, like alcohol and smoking, where people know that it's not great for them. And you don't need to tell a smoker that it's bad for them. They know that it's not good.
They know, and they're doing it anyway. And if you're continually overeating, and you're doing it anyway. And that is a harsh truth. And I knew, and I was doing it anyway. And that's why I weighed 100 more pounds than I do right now.
Well, and before, and we've talked about it, I saw weight loss as an end goal. Like once I get back into my size 20 jeans, then I can start eating again and repeat the cycle. And we actually have a friend who talked about doing, I think, MetaFast, which is a quick weight loss program.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, well, I know I need to lose 60 pounds, but I can do MetaFast and I'll lose the weight and then I'll just gain it again. And then I'll go back on MetaFast and I'll lose it again. And I know how to do it and it's fine. And that's a Band-Aid on a bigger problem of not being able to manage your weight. And, Donald and I were in our 40s before we were finally able to sustainably address it and admit to all of the willfully ignorant things that we were doing to self-sabotage.
Yeah. And willful ignorance is easy. We really believe in our beliefs, and so it makes us uncomfortable to confront things that are contrary to what we believe. I will fix it later.
Or I know I really should cut back on fill in the blank. If you find yourself
I
saying
shouldn't have that second piece of cake or whatever, you shouldn't be doing it, and yet you do it anyway.
And you're waiting also for the perfect time to maybe address it. But in Donald's case, a doctor said he might lose a leg.
Yes. In my memory, my doctor did not have the Bubazella thing, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
Didn't he tell you at a soccer match or a football match?
Yeah,
or something
probably.
Like that?
I don't know anymore.
But the things that we don't want to admit to ourselves are looming, and they actually weigh heavy on our hearts. Those things that we're avoiding, we don't ever forget them, and they affect our psyches, I think. I for sure was super depressed and I felt very helpless. And I think when you're at the point where you feel helpless and lost, that's actually when you can turn it around.
Yeah, and I've found some studies online that actually show that people, want to cling to these willfully ignorant beliefs. And there was one study, Daniel T. Gilbert et al. From the University of Texas at Austin. Their study suggested that belief is first easy and inexorable, and that doubt is retroactive, difficult, and only occasionally successful. And essentially, what that means is that people find it a whole lot easier to go through life just believing what they believe and not challenging their own beliefs. And if your belief is that, your behavior is fine, you prefer to stick to that rather than having to confront that.
Well, and, finding out and admitting that there's an issue, or admitting that the Earth isn't the center of the universe, like our good friend Galileo.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, hey guys, guess what? The Earth is not the center of the universe. People didn't take that very well.
No.
Our fine friends at the Vatican did not appreciate that.
And it seems crazy now that, he would have been, I can't remember what Galileo's fate was right now, but I think he was imprisoned and some other things.
He was from Florence, Italy. We saw his finger at the Galileo Museum.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm just finger dropping now. But he was actually sort of on house arrest because of his heretical
and
thoughts.
He was just basically telling people what actually was true, and he was getting,
they were not interested.
So I think that we put ourselves under house arrest, or parts of ourselves under house arrest, because we don't want to confront the fact that we have to, actually do this work. If we were to acknowledge the fact that we had to eat differently or exercise differently, then we would have to then actually do the work to make it happen.
Well, and it feels very overwhelming when you finally are at a point where you have a diabetes diagnosis, or you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. It feels impossible. It feels huge, and it feels really like too much to manage. Like if you do have credit card debt or school debt or something, and you don't look at the bills and you don't look at the bills, it's like you're waiting for that moment to finally confront it.
Yeah.
And then when you see the number, you're like, how am I going to get past that? It was like that with losing weight too. I never thought I was going to lose 100 pounds. I just wanted to lose 5.
Yeah.
But thinking about it in its total sum is too much to bear.
Well, and I think that that's really what you just said is really the whole point, is that, break it down into smaller bits. You don't have to fix everything overnight. And that sort of, you can have this epiphany and be actually like let yourself believe, notice all of these things that you should be doing and that you're not doing. And it can just become so overwhelming that you let that door close again. And rather than doing that, do it in baby steps and get there one small step at a time.
Yeah. So I think we're on to the solution part of this, so that you don't feel sad about everything. So like Donald said, understanding that you don't have to fix it all today. If there is an issue with what you're eating, or how you're managing snacks at home, or your work habits, admitting that you have an issue, I think, is a big deal. Because when we feel like a victim of circumstance, which I know I did for years, I just thought it was my fate to be overweight. I thought it was my genetics. I thought it was my job. I thought life wasn't fair. When I was a victim, there were no solutions, because I just thought it was circumstance. It is not circumstance. It is a choice. So being in a position where you are finally open to knowing your unknown, and getting to a point where you're open to change and being comfortable with the discomfort of change, I think is huge.
And telling yourself that it is okay to change your mind, that that just because you may have believed something for a long time that turns out not to be true, that isn't a bad thing. It's part of growth, and it's part of getting and achieving your goals.
Well, and that's what, we joke about being scientists, but so much of this is an experiment and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And Cassie Ho, friend of the show, and
another friend of the show,
Blogilates superstar, internet sensation, she is actually doing a 90-day kind of reset on herself. And when she started, she said that she hated tracking calories. She actually, you can go on the Blogilates website and you can check out her blog. But she talked about hating tracking calories. And so that she was just going to kind of intuitively eat and try to stick to whole foods. And she lost a little bit of weight. She was trying to lose about 12 pounds, 13 pounds. And she is halfway through her 90 days and just posted, she's like, hey, guess what? I haven't lost weight in 2.5 weeks. I think eating all those handfuls of nuts all day might not be in my best interest. And I think I've been fooling myself. And I think I need to start tracking calories. And big old cheers to Cassie Ho for being brave enough to admit that she was overindulging in an area and needed to switch up her plan, because a lot of people will feel embarrassed to change a plan when they've announced to all that, like, I'm going to intuitively eat and it's going to be perfect. That she was able to come forward and admit to her followers, of which there are millions, that she needed to change her plan up was really huge. And I think anyone who is brave enough to admit that something didn't work, to see something as an experiment and to move forward from that is really huge. So even successful people need to switch up their plan and admit the unknown.
Yeah, and it is really difficult to admit that we're wrong about things. But and Catherine was talking about this earlier in our non-podcasting life. It is really, a lot of times we know what the solution is when we ask the question.
Exactly.
We'll say to ourselves, I work at a place where I get free lunch every day. What am I supposed to do?
But honestly, we say like, well, what am I supposed to do? I get blah, blah, blah. What am I supposed to do? I'm a parent. What am I supposed to do? And the answer is the opposite of whatever it is you're not doing or doing.
Yeah, like if you're constantly triggered by a particular kind of cookie, like don't eat that cookie. Like don't bring it home, don't buy it, don't put yourself around it, like stay away from it. And if if you're constantly, you can't lose any weight, you can't get yourself healthy because you're eating your work's free food, you're gonna have to bite the bullet and bring in
the free food.
Yeah, don't eat the free food. Bring in your own food. And a lot of the time, a problem can be you don't want to stand out. You don't want to be different. Your, conformity can kind of blind us to actual logic.
Well, and we've all had that time where like, oh, you're not eating the Panera bread. You're eating a salad. Why is that salad so big? Like, why are you taking the stairs instead of whatever? And it's embarrassing. Like, it can be embarrassing to stand out.
Or we just did our alcohol episode recently, and it's like you go out and people are like, why aren't you drinking? Come on, because part of them feels guilty when you're not drinking, or a part of them feels like, they won't have as much fun if not everyone is doing it. And sometimes it's hard to resist that stuff, but it's in your best interest to do so.
Right. So getting to the big picture of, you realize now that you have been avoiding a known unknown, that you have been purposely avoiding confronting your issue or your food habit or your uncontrolled behavior. So I know it's, it sounds kind of cliche, but admitting that you have the issue right now, I cannot control myself around alcohol or free food at work or my kids' food. Admitting that and putting on that, that right now I can't X, Y, or Z is really important, because I know Donald, when he was first diagnosed with diabetes and he said he couldn't drink, he was really depressed. He was like, I'm never going to be able to drink again.
Yeah, said I couldn't drink, said I couldn't have sugar, couldn't have bread, flour. And, I thought of it at the time as forever. And it turned out it wasn't forever. It was just temporarily. And I've brought this up on the show several times before, but I used to have a real soda problem, and I really couldn't control myself. If I would have one Coke, I just couldn't stop. And you know what? Now I can. And I'm not saying that everyone is going to get to that spot, but it is possible that some of these things can be temporary. But if you really can't, if you have one soda and it leads to 10, or you have one soda and then suddenly you start binge eating, like, stay away from soda.
Right. So the big question is, what are you, now that you know what you know, the no.
Yeah.
We'll fix it in post. Now that you're ready to confront it, deciding what you're ready to do today. As we said, you don't have to figure it all out today, but where are you willing to start? Are you willing to start tracking your calories? Are you willing to go, and this is something that I did, I used to eat a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream after getting a takeout meal, like a full takeout meal.
Yeah, and when she says that she used to do that, she means we used to do it. She's just being polite.
So when I decided to start tracking calories, I made a point to keep Ben & Jerry's in my life. But, and Ben & Jerry's could be replaced with any triggery food.
Yeah.
You can reduce the frequency that you have something. So instead of having Ben & Jerry's every night, just have it on Saturday nights. It's still in your life if you can maintain it that way.
Make it a weekly treat, something for you yourself to look forward to.
You can reduce the quantity. So instead of having a pint, they actually sell single cup or half cup servings that are single serving, which are very helpful for portion control.
Yeah, and I would not suggest trying to just like dish out part of the pint.
No,
at a
there's
time.
no.
Yeah, that leads to the loophole of just a little more.
Oh, it's
just
uneven.
A
Let me just get a little bit
and
more
then
on that
before you
side.
know
Let
it,
me
you've
break
eaten the whole
spoon.
thing.
So going to the single serving. Educating yourself about something like I just pick up a handful of nuts. I'm doing, Atkins or whatever, and nuts are healthful and I'm supposed to have healthy fats. Realizing that I think a half of or a quarter cup is like 200-300 calories or something like that.
It's a lot. I can't remember off the top of my head.
But it's a lot. If you go back to that bucket, and you're 2-3 times a day,
mindlessly taking a handful several times a day, it's a lot of calories.
So educating yourself on the impact of your habit can really help. Being vulnerable with the right people, like there are certain people in my life who I have told, like, hey, I'm going to start eating well, who have given me really cruddy responses like, oh, you've said that before, or, oh, well, why are you eating that if you said you were on a diet, or, you know what, I love you, but you're never going to be able to fit into that. Like my grandmother actually said that once. And going to a trusted person, a trusted resource, a trusted group to share what your plan is matters, because not everyone is going to support your goal. Some people are going to see that it's extreme. Like, oh, what are you going to do? Count calories the rest of your life? Yeah, sure.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
But not all people are going to support your goals. Donald had a sort of an anecdote about a healthy.
Yeah, I read a story online recently about written by an older sibling whose family had chronic weight issues, and this particular person at a very young age realized this and decided to do something about it. And I mean, hats off to this person. That is not something that I did, but they got older and moved out on their own, and their younger sibling was still living at home. And the younger sister reached out and she tried to help and gave her some ideas for meal planning and stuff. And then when their mom found out, the mom went absolutely ballistic, like that the older sibling was trying to, usurp authority and, how dare you? And the mom
let the girl eat what she wants.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's not right to do all of these things. And the mom was being willfully ignorant because she didn't want, to have to confront the fact that she was contributing to her daughter's, obesity and was contributing to her own obesity. And, you're going to run into these things in your life, but knowing who to talk to, knowing to talk to the older sibling and not telling your mom in some cases is the way to go.
Or just not making a big deal out of a change.
Yeah, true. Not announcing I am going to be...
I have a decree.
Yes. I am eating nothing but whole foods from now on.
But it's hard when you say stuff like that in an office or whatever. People are like, oh, I thought you said you ... So just not making a big deal out of it, not drawing attention to yourself if you're not drinking, not making a big deal out of it with people who are drinking. Don't put yourself out there. Just keep a low profile if that's what you need. So talk to the right people, be vulnerable with the right people. And then we kind of mentioned it, but be comfortable with the discomfort of change.
Yeah.
It's not going to feel fair to have to track calories. It's not going to feel fair to have to track your steps or, whatever habit you're doing. It seems like everybody else in the world, like our daughter says that, like if we won't let her do something, she'll be like, everybody else in school did, bring switchblades to school. Like, what? I'm joking. But, like really every single kid, like you've done a survey, and it can feel like the rest of the world is living this simple life without compromise. So don't compare yourself to other people. Stay in your own lane and decide what you're ready to do today. Reassess it in a couple of weeks. Know what you know. I know that if I if I eat off my daughter's plate, I know it's going to lead to me overeating. I know if I start the day with a sugary treat, I'm going to keep eating sugary treats. Those are known knowns. It's taken me a while to admit it.
Yeah.
I know that first decisive moment where I make a choice of, I'll just have ... that if I hear myself saying that, I know that's leading towards self-sabotage. And I know that. I know it. So I know. So
I know that, and I know I don't know that, and I don't know that I don't know that.
But be okay with the discomfort of the new challenge.
Yeah,
it's okay.
And look, some things seemed so difficult and so overwhelming when I first started doing them, and now they're just a part of my life. Like, it's just a part of my life to go to the grocery store every week and plan out my meals for the week and put them together. And I just do it, and I've come up with backup plans upon backup plans, and I make it work. And it's just something that I know that I do, and I do it as a routine now, and it's not, overwhelming or scary or difficult. And it could be at first, but eventually it becomes just part of your life.
Well, and I too, the big change in this last weight loss journey where I lost 100 pounds was I remember saying to myself, I have to do this differently. I can't see it as a quick fix. This is the rest of my life. And I think knowing that and being okay with the long journey matters. It's not how much weight can I lose in October or how much weight can I lose by December. What lifestyle are you putting in place to support a healthy, happier version of yourself? It's not about the number. It's about the habits and the direction in which you're pointed. And educating yourself, admitting your shortcomings. There are still plenty of things that Donald and I are not ready to confront.
Oh, yeah.
And I know it. I know that, we're reading the Diet Fix in Wolt Place, WOLT Place. And he talks about eating whole foods all the time and home cooked meals. He can stick a fork in my frozen meal because I am not in a position to do that.
I lost 100 pounds not doing that. But, is there a part of me that knows that maybe I would be healthier if I did that? Sure. Probably. Sure. But I've just managed to, lose the weight without that.
But deciding to level up from where you are, we've talked about it before, deciding what you are willing to confront, what habit you're willing to reduce the frequency, the duration, the quantity of, what you're ready to educate yourself on with a trusted leader in an industry. I don't know about Weight Watchers, but I'm going to investigate it. Does it sound like something that I can do? Try it. Try it out. See how it works. Find trusted support with trusted people. Again, be comfortable with the discomfort and learn from your habits. Learn from what your experiments are.
Yeah, ask yourself, are the things that I've been doing so far, are the plans that I'm 100% sure work for me, have they really been working? If you're stuck at a certain position, or if you keep gaining weight, if you keep doing these plans for a little while and then going back off of them and gaining the weight back, they're not really working for you. And so opening up yourself to the idea that there are other things out there that you can try is huge. And I've said it before on this show, but being really honest with myself has been one of the greatest keys to unlocking weight loss success.
You stole my last point. I was going to say something very similar. Here, let's say it at the same time. I think it's really important.
Honest is important.
No, sorry. I should yes and you.
I like how you called me an honesty thief, kind of.
No, but that honesty, the what to say when you talk to yourself, I used to be a victim of all of my choices. What else am I supposed to do? Saying that at the end of your sentence is a danger zone. So like Donald said, be very honest with yourself. And that can feel very foreign and strange because we don't want to challenge our own beliefs. But it pays off in the end.
It pays off huge in the end.
So that's the unknown known, no knowns.
Yes.
And now you know. And
Say
knowing
that 10 times fast.
knowing is half the battle.
Knowing is half the battle. It really
is half the battle. You know, those G.I. Joe guys, they knew what was going on.
They really did, especially Snake Eyes. Although
Wait,
he
was
didn't
he a
talk.
bad guy or a good guy?
No, he was a good guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll put it in post.
Yeah.
So that's our information about the unknown knowns.
And now I
Know it
think
up.
it's time for our product of the week.
Pow!
Pow, everybody.
This is a double hit of something, a one-hit wonder
Yeah,
that
this
we're
is
hitting
a
you
product
twice
of the
with.
week that we've done before, but I think that it's an important one. Has been a really huge one for Catherine and I, and we use it every day. And
Toothbrushes.
and as the seasons changed, as we
See, back
mentioned
to the
before, the weather is getting a little bit worse, and we can't go outside. We actually got rained on our morning walk this morning.
We did. We made the mistake of going outside in California.
And so the product of the week is a rebounder.
Rebounder. It's back again, an old friend. Rebounders have changed. I would say that they've changed our life in the last year.
Oh,
wouldn't you
yeah,
say?
for sure.
Not having to deal with heat, wind, frost, bitter winters in Southern California.
Not to mention
snowstorms.
the potential crazy people or getting hit by a car or any of those things.
Sure. No, we used to walk a lot when it was dark out in the morning. So being able to rebound at home has really helped us. One, it helps us keep up on the Netflix. But
it's much easier to watch TV when you're rebounding.
But we have listeners in Canada and in other, super hot climates, cold climates, and snowy climates. So investing in what you can do in this season.
So why don't you tell them what a rebounder is?
Rebounder is a mini trampoline. It is about 40 inches in circumference.
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe 5-6 inches off the ground. People ask us, do you bounce on it up and down like you're, at a trampoline park? The answer is no, you don't. You just kind of
I do when no one's watching.
Shift your feet from left to right, and we get up.
You kind of like pretend walk on it in a weird way.
But you don't even have to
you're walking on the moon, although your feet never leave
Oh yeah,
it.
it's like moonwalking, but you stay in place.
Yeah,
so
or
you just kind of lift up your
wa-
heels.
like walking in like a bouncy house or something almost.
Yeah, but we get up a nice heart rate.
Yeah.
We don't have to jump up and down. We can watch television while we're doing it. Doesn't take up much room.
Strengthens my legs, and I can bounce pretty fast on it. Really get the heart rate up, and like Catherine said, we can watch TV while we do it.
Yep, we have his and hers rebounders. It doesn't bother our neighbors, or not that they've told us.
Yeah, if it
it's
does,
low
they
impact.
haven't said anything.
It's low impact, and it's been a really great resource. Having his and her matching treadmills in our small living room would not make sense, but having the Ancheer brand rebounders are great.
Yeah, and I'll link to them in the show notes if you're interested in buying one for yourself. They're not crazy expensive, depending on your point of view. There's something like $70.
Yeah, and there are ones that are considerably more expensive, but we've been happy with our Ancheer brand. Different rebounders have different weight limits, so if you are looking at them, go on Amazon. I mean, there's not like the perfect one that's going to change your life. Just find one that fits your size preference and your budget. But just getting on the rebounder, and I can sneak in. I work from home. I can sneak in steps, quote unquote, on the rebounder. In just a couple of minutes, I can get 250 steps. And with the season change, it really is a game changer for me, and I think it is for Donald too. So you don't have to be a victim to cold weather, rain, snow, heat. It's temperature controlled in your house at a budget friendly price, and so get on it. And that is our
Get on it, literally.
Get on it, and that is our product of the week.
Pow!
Pow!
Product of the week to you.
Product of the week to you. Very satisfied.
And I think that is just about it for this week's episode of We Only Look Thin. As we mentioned at the beginning, you could help us out by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts.
You can email us with a question or a product of the week or a tip of the week at weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
And you can find us on the socials We Only Look Thin.
Yeah, we're on Instagram, Twitter a little bit, and then a lot on Facebook. We've talked about it before, but we're running Wolt Place, WOLT Place.
Yes, Wolt Place is a support group for women where people like you trying to help each other on their weight loss adventure.
Yeah, without the nosy interruptions of the people you know in 3D America or 3D life.
And you get some direct access to Catherine.
Yes, I'm delightful.
And if you really want direct access to me, although I don't really participate.
Yeah, you can add him, but he's not on all that much.
Because I am not one of the ladies.
It's for ladies. So yeah, join us at Wolt Place. You can find more information on Wolt Place if you go to weonlylookthin.com and click on Join Our Support Group.
You sure can.
Yeah.
So if you are still confused about what is known or unknown or what the known knowns are or the unknown knowns are, there's one thing you can know for sure that you know, and that is that Catherine and I are an inspiration. The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.